Increasing cases of men secretly filming women and uploading it on social media, whether it's in public transport systems like the metro or in office washrooms. This has become a serious concern, Vasudha. In Bengaluru, a 26-year-old man was arrested yesterday by the police after he uploaded an inappropriate video of a woman onto social media without her consent.
That's right, Vida. Remember a few days ago, an employee of Infosys was accused of filming women colleagues in the company's washrooms. And a few weeks ago, you also had the shocking case of a social media handle dedicated to videos of women commuting in Bengaluru metro taken without the knowledge of women or their consent. Now, this accused, now suspended accounts have showcased heavily edited clips that zoomed in or used slow motion to objectify women for online attention.
That's right. The case erupted when a college student discovered herself featured in one of those videos. Her social media post tagging Bengaluru police and cybercrime authorities sparked widespread outrage and led to action by the police. Investigation has revealed that the accused had built a disturbing pattern of behavior, deliberately turning public spaces into hunting grounds for harassment.
Absolutely. This clearly, Veera, is not a singular act of violation. We need to talk about the larger question of women's safety in public spaces. There's also the question of accountability of social media's voyeurism. How do these platforms really amplify content like this? That's what we discuss now. Joining us is Alankrita Sahai, who's an actor and former Miss India. We have Rashmi Samant, who's an author and entrepreneur. We have Prasad Bidappa, who's a Bengaluru citizen, fashion curator. And we have Sandeep Aniruddin, who is a convener for Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. Alankrita, to you first. As a woman, when you think about digital voyeurism, what is it that comes to your mind? Okay, let me go to Rashmi Samant first. How do you look at cases like this that are coming up, Rashmi, because I remember there was a similar case even in Delhi Metro, Nagpur Metro, and of course Bengaluru has also spotlighted at least 2 such cases. As a woman, what do you feel is changing about the society and what can be done to sort of improve this kind of attitude?
Well, I think this kind of behavior signals to a deeper sort of rot that's taken charge of our society. This disturbing pattern of objectification of women is being increasingly normalized, be it through OTT or different platforms. So now what we are seeing on social media is that normalization taking effort in terms of everyday life. That is something that we are seeing today. And secondly, I think the girl, who raised her voice, due to which this man finally got arrested, she raised an important point about accountability of social media platforms. Numerous people, including me, we heard her plea and we tried to report the video, but it wasn't taken down. The complaint was just registered by Instagram. And if these are the kind of rules and regulations which have become standards of our society, then it's deeply problematic as to who is responsible for safeguarding and creating a safe space for women online. So the deeper question of accountability also needs to be addressed.
Oh, absolutely. The question of accountability and how do we build systems which takes these things down on time? Prasad Bidappa, one of the key concerns is that sometimes before action is taken, the damage is usually done, whether it could be school children, and then the other big concern is that there could be hundreds and thousands of other cases which we don't even know about that are playing out.
I completely agree that this blurring of lines on social media, which is full of so much of content, all kinds of content, it's influencing people to think that they can get away with anything, that they're going to build their followers at the cost of some hapless lady who doesn't even, mean to be on a platform like this. So I feel that expecting a safe space on social media is an impossible task. It is something that I think has gone out of control already. And like Rashmi said, the complaint tried to get Instagram to take it down, and they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't take it down. There should be someone monitoring this at least to ensure that jobless boys like this who have nothing better to do with their lives, wandering around the city, shooting women in kind of positions, I've seen it happen on the metro also. A girl is sitting down, a man is standing on top and trying to film her. because he's looking down her cleavage
There was
or
in fact an
something like
entire
that.
social media page dedicated to asking people to come and contribute to videos of this nature. That's how serious the issue has become, Vasudha.
Exactly.
But
It's
let me
extremely
ask this
unmonitored.
right, Mr. Vidya, let me ask this question to Sandeep Anirudhan. One thing that is really good about Bengaluru is people saw this was happening, this was wrong. They raised voices against it, and the accused has been caught. I see this happening in Delhi. I see this happening in several other places. Like Rashmi also said, have we normalized this behavior? There are witnesses. There are people traveling on metro, on buses. They see people videographing, taking pictures, and nobody says anything because the concept of consent is often really unknown to a lot of us.
Vasudha, in India, at least in the present day Indian context, people don't seem to understand the concept of boundaries. And a large part of it has to do with, I think, our mass media, the way it, see, a lot of education in India happens through movies. And you look at popular movies like Hindi movies and stuff like that. Have you stopped to wonder how women are objectified and sexualized in these movies? Item numbers are the prime attraction in a movie. What does it say about our society? An item number is nothing but gross sexualization and objectification of a woman in very revealing clothes. And this is what children grow up watching. And these are not A-grade movies. These are general viewing certificate movies. Just imagine it gets normalized in families. Boys grow up viewing girls as objects.
You're making an important point, Sandeep. I'm sorry to interrupt. You're making a very important point, and Rashmi made the point earlier as well, that this is part of a larger social sanct for it. Rashmi, I just want to quickly ask, even as we debate this issue, is there a sense still that it's okay, what's the big deal in large parts? The fact that there is an invasion into privacy of being videographed without your knowledge.
Yeah.
It could be a man or a woman, and it's the same thing, right? Is there a sense that it's still okay? I can just take my camera out, whether it's the theater or anywhere else, and I can speak. Whether it's your metro or whatever else, I can just be okay with doing it. What's the big deal? That needs to change.
Yes.
Absolutely, it needs to change. And until somebody becomes the victim themselves, men and women, they don't know, they don't understand how deep the issue is and what kind of psychological issues one goes through when one becomes a victim of this. I've been a student union leader through and through, and I'm talking about an incident from 5 years ago. There was an entire Reddit thread about women in my college that I had to actively get involved with the police in taking down. But this kind of behavior, it has seeped deep down, and it's happening among all age groups, and it's extremely concerning that it is normalized, and until somebody becomes a victim, we don't speak up about it. What is to stop even the women on the streets from taking away cameras from these men and protesting it when they see it happening with others? What's to stop the men from stopping other men from doing these and calling up the cops right then and there? That's because we think it's okay until we become victims. So I think there needs to be larger awareness and larger policing when it comes to such behavior in public.
Right, Mr. Bidappa, also when you talk about social media, the accountability of it, an account like Metro Chicks had about 5,000 followers. There are people, all of us know that this is just really wrongful content. It's not moral, it's not ethical. But then, there are followers, there are, people who accept that this is completely normal. How can technology also encourage behavior like this, and what needs to be done to stop that from happening?
Well, I think Instagram should really have stronger checks and guards about this whole thing. But I must say I'm happy that the police responded so quickly. Maybe that lady should have complained to the police first instead of Instagram. At least the police sprang into action and did something and have finally managed to arrest him. She should not have waited. And I think that people do interfere. I've seen many people object to bad behavior on the streets, especially in a city like Bangalore, which is very cosmopolitan and everybody is very educated. You don't see this kind of behavior around, in the metros and all that as much as you would see it in private life, maybe. So I think that what Rashmi said also resonates. Policing has to be stronger. And I'd advise every woman listening to this program to complain to the police first before you complain to Instagram. Looks like Instagram is not going to do very much.
I think you're making a very important point, and I think, Sandeep, there was also another thing. When we were back in college, there was always this thing of, there's this thing in Indian, this one of drinking and driving, it's okay. Yeah. But I remember somebody saying that there was consciously an effort in countries like the UK amongst youth to turn around and say, look, this is not okay. Don't do it, and it's not cool to do it, and others. So there has to be more than enforcement, there has to be a social movement to turn around and say it's not okay, and that needs to start from young kids onwards, in school onwards, that look, these are the do's and don'ts of it.
Absolutely, Raghav. I think peer pressure, societal norms, and values play a huge role, which is why I was coming to this whole thing. See, this whole Hindi movie industry and all other movie industries in India, slipping voyeurism and objectification of women right into our drawing rooms and getting away with it is one of the big causes for influencing the social outlook of a society. And also, if you look at our movies, they tend to, especially of women, they tend to normalize invasion of a woman's privacy by men. Men can do what they want. They can tease women, they can slap women, they can do all of these, and this is normal. I mean, it's not considered out of the way in our movies. I think the Central Board of Film Certification needs to be brought up to date. They need to have a new
last word from Rashmi. Rashmi, what is your advice to young girls? Because this is about public transport, and public transport is one, medium that can really empower women because it talks about mobility. What is your advice to women who take public transport, especially when it comes to incidents like this?
Well, I think, the wrong thing to do is to limit women and to ask them to stay inside. That would be the last thing I would say. I think women need to be out there more, and they need to, voice their concerns. There are good citizens like the people on this panel who will always jump to their support, who will, galvanize the police. It was a lot of her followers who actually went to the police before she did. So we will support you. Go out there, make your voices heard, and break that glass ceiling. Do not limit yourself in any way because there are predators out there. There are good people too who will come to your rescue. But please do speak up when such things do happen. Even if you don't know how to resolve it, there are people out there who come to your rescue.
Absolutely, Rashmi.
And I hope the more people speak out, and perhaps even this conversation, Vasudha, should send out a message categorically saying it's not okay. And I'm saying this again, I think this cannot be done through regulation or enforcement at the top. It needs to come from within as far as the society is concerned to ensure that this is absolutely unacceptable.
Absolutely, Veera. This case is not just about one man's wrongdoing. It clearly should be a wake-up call. And we have been in this digital world where there are these blurring lines between what is personal dignity and what is strong vigilance. We, of course, need stronger policy enforcement, but what we also need is some sense of change in societal attitudes towards consent and also digital ethics.